Well, Turning Point has become a very interesting pay per view by Impact Wrestling, but we'll see who had the turning point with title exchanges and many other feuds and certain things that we did not expect that it could happen. However, we also will discuss the real shocking news that took place this past Friday involving Zelina Vega being released, or should I say, fired by WWE. So all of that will be talked about on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So let's get started with Turning Point by Impact Wrestling, their latest pay per view that came out. The first match of the night was Eddie Edwards versus Davari. Now, you can say what you want about this match. There was no story build-up, but I have to say it was a pretty good match. If you guys are not familiarized with Davari, he was actually in WWE. Actually, was a manager for a guy named Muhammad, doing that whole Arabic type of style of wrestling, like gimmick. But anyway, Davari made a good impression when he was in TNA as an X Division champion. But this was a really interesting match, a great opener. I have to say, even though there was no story build-up, but it was a good match. I did like it. Eddie Edwards took the victory on this one by applying the Basti knee knee party, while Davari got distracted. But it was a good match. I'm not gonna lie. Now the next match is sort of like a warm-up for the upcoming tournament for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Now, as you know, it's already been talked about that it's going to start soon. So it was Tennille Dashwood teaming up with someone that she confronted in the when she first returned from wherever in Impact, Jordan Grace, versus Rosemary and Tal Valkyrie, who have been a very established tag team for a while. Now, I've always suspected this was going to happen. As you know, Tennille Dashwood doesn't get along with other people, and that's what she normally did. And because of that, it cost her the match with Jordan, even though Tail Valkyrie and Rosemary took advantage of it and had a victory. And of course, later on, she was unhappy with the fact what Tennille Dashwood did. It kind of proven that Tennille cannot get along with anybody. But however, looks like Alicia Edwards stepped up to the plate. So we'll see how that goes when we get to the tournament. Now, as you know, a week ago, the last Impact show, Cody Deaner was in a match against Johnny Swinger right after they were being interrogated over who shot Johnny E. Bravo. However, Cody Deaner got knocked out by a Swinger with a fanny pack, but he felt there was something odd about it. So he was being mad about it in front of Cousin Jake. So Cousin Jake told him, why not confront him, trying to find retribution for what we did. So that's what they did. So we'll get to that in a little bit because this is where the mystery begins. Now, the next match is Brian Myers versus Swaggle. Now, as you saw Bound for Glory not too long ago, Brian Myers and Swaggle were really close friends, but however, Brian Myers decided not to be his friend anymore when he stabbed in the back at the Collier Shot Gauntlet match that took place at Bound for Glory. And of course, Swaggle paid a debt back to Brian Myers for betraying him by aligning himself and helping Tommy Dreamer, another friend that Brian Myers betrayed. And this time it became a rivalry. But Brian Myers was expecting him to just lay on his back, but that's not who Swaggle is. And it was a good match, even though you can say, but it's a guy who's taller versus a guy who's shorter. So what? It was a good match. I like the story, how they were going. You got two former friends fighting off. But however, it did end the way it's supposed to. Brian Myers took the victory. But however, he decided in post match to keep pounding on Swaggle until Crazy Steve stepped up on his defense. And this could lead to another rivalry between Crazy Steve and, of course, Brian Myers. Now, we jumping into an interview with Triple XL. As you know, they have been showing how dominant they can be, and they're on a title hunt for the Impact World Tag Team Championships. But their biggest problem they had was the Motor City Machine Guns. As you know, the Motor City Machine Guns do have the rematch clause that indicates that, they have a chance to regain, but they want the Motor City Machine Guns in the back of the line. So they want to be the team, the faces, whoever wins the Impact World Tag Team Championship. But in this match that they had, Chris Sabian asked for someone to be his partner, but not only the guy who can watch his back, but also someone he can count on. And it turned to the one person who's also TNA royalty, and I'm talking about the Cowboy, James Storm. Sorry about your damn luck. Yeah, him. So we all know his resume. He's been tag team champion multiple occasions, world champion. But the real question was, can they work together as a unit? Because we both know they're both from two different teams. But somehow they were able to work cohesively no matter what. Now, you can say all you want. This guy was part of two different factions, both Beer Money and the America's Most Wanted. True. But you got Chris Sabian, part of one of the most intense, high-flying team, the Motor City Machine Guns. I don't think it matters because these two men come from two respected, well-known tag teams. Did the dynamic work? The answer is yes. So they picked up the victory for their team, which is kind of interesting because I saw this on Twitter. They're calling them royalty, which is true. But the real question is what's going to happen now when Alex Shelley returns. We'll see when we get to that. Now, the continuation with the Deaners. As you know, Cody Deaner still has a beef to grind with Swinger for what he did on last Impact's show on Tuesday. So they find him with pissing off a girl who he was being disgusted with. Now they get to the locker room and they find his stuff lying around, and that's when they found the fanny pack. But that's when Cody Deaner's suspicions began. He knew the fanny pack was heavy, but when he opened it, this is the part he did not expect. He found a gun. So the real question is, was Johnny Swinger responsible for shooting Johnny E. Bravo at his wedding? I guess we'll just find out when we get there on Tuesday. But however, I would say if Swinger would have been the one to shoot Bravo, it would make sense because Bravo did not make him as the best man. Basically, we all know Swinger's annoying. He thinks he's all that. He thinks he has a total package and all that. But it would make sense in the storyline. But like I said, we'll get to that on Tuesday to find out because I would like to see what Detective Sherlock Dreamer has something to say. Yes, I call Sherlock Dreamer because Tommy Dreamer is investigating it. Now, as you know, recently with Rohit Raju, who's been the X Division champion, he's been trying to ensure he holds on to the title. He doesn't want to lose it regardless. So he has this thing called the Rohit Defeat Challenge. So basically, he's asking for someone to defeat him in order to get an opportunity. So then the person who stepped up to the plate is in fact Cody Deaner. But however, Rohit Raju is always sneaky enough to get away with it, and he took off winning the match. But however, the title of the X Division was not on the line. But the biggest shock was post-match, the sudden appearance of Eric Young with a familiar wrestler. Now, I never heard of him, but I did a little research on him. He was once in WWE's developmental program until they let him go. But however, he was as a Triple Crown champion in the Triple Crown champion with All Japan Pro Wrestling and tag team champion with All Japan, Doring. Doring, I think that's his name. So basically, he's like a big level guy. I never heard of him, but he decimated both the Deaners. So it looks like Eric Young's putting the entire locker room on notice. He may have lost an opportunity to get his title back, but however, I don't think this whole mission of him turning the entire Impact Wrestling into his asylum is far, far from over. Now, the Good Brothers. As you know, we have been paying attention to the Good Brothers. They even did stated how they're going to win. One of them was Magic Killer, drinking, Hadouken, whatever they were going to do. And that's always been saying how they want. And of course, who could forget Talking Shopomania 2. Now the next match is between Moose and Willie Mack. This rivalry between them started when Willie Mack congratulated Rich Swann and retained the title against Eric Young. However, Moose considers Rich Swann as being the second reign title, even though nobody gives a damn about the TNA World Heavyweight Championship because it is not even active. But Moose acts like it is because he thinks he beat everyone who ever held the title. But however, that's not the case anymore because it turns out, because of what his antics with EC3, we're seeing a much dangerous individual. So he attacked Willie Mack, and Mack attacked him back. So this is one of those matches that now you get to see a darker side of Moose that we never seen. Now he continued to brutalize Willie Mack in certain points until the ref decided to call off. He doesn't care. Willie Mack won the match via disqualification, but Moose didn't care. So basically, whatever EC3 did to him, Moose is now starting to embrace it. So I guess now he's more dangerous than ever. But however, his initial attack towards Willie Mack is a message to Rich Swann. The message he's telling him, I'm the real world champion. You are second best. Truth to be told, he's delusional, believing that his championship is far more superior than his. Well, he took that title from storage, and no one wants to tell him that. If I was someone from TNA, I just destroy it. Now, as you know, Rich Swann has a setup match against Sami Callihan. But Rich Swann actually had a very familiar face come and surprise him and telling him that he's rooting for him. But however, he asked him for a favor. He's asking him, since he knows Sami Callihan has Ken Shamrock watching his back, he would like to be the guy to watch him because Eddie Edwards knows Sami very well. They haven't forgotten what happened about 2 years ago where he tried to turn Callihan. Callihan was driving him nuts and all this and that. So Rich Swann was okay with the idea of him watching his back because he knows he can trust him. So we'll get to that bridge when we get there. Now, the next match we have is the Impact World Tag Team titles between the Good Brothers and the North. Now, this rivalry began because the North has been trying to solidify themselves as saying the longest reigning championships. Yes, that is true. But however, no one has been giving them enough credit because of that. Because they believe they dominated and no one cares about interviewing them. That's what they felt. But however, when the Good Brothers arrived, that's when things have changed. Basically, the North has been trying to try to shut them up. And for me, I felt this is the right moment for them to go for the tag team gold, which is something I've expected. But it was an interesting match. Majority of the time of the match. Now, as you know, the North are very smart. You look at Ethan Page, who has a very smart mind, and Josh Alexander, who's known as the walking weapon. They were able to separate Carl Anderson away from Gallows long enough, but not enough to pick up a victory. But it was a good match. But however, it ended where Doc Gallows picked up the victory, winning the match for his team and becoming the new Impact World Tag Team Champions. Now, I do know for a fact the North is not going to be happy about it, but however, they will cash in the rematch clause. That's how I see it. We'll just get there on Tuesday. Now, the next thing we see is the Impact Knockouts Championship in a no disqualification match between Deonna Purrazzo and Su Yung. Now, as you know, Deonna Purrazzo felt that Su Yung appearance was ridiculous, that she should not have been champion. But however, Scott D'Amore made some valid points. You said you're the most technical wrestler, you're the best wrestler. Prove it. And that's what happened. First time with the rematch, it didn't go her way. But however, Scott D'Amore decided, you know what? Play it her way, with Su Young's way. No disqualification, which Deonna Purrazzo thought the same thing. Why not? You see, Deonna Purrazzo is up for a challenge. But it did show a lot of Deonna Purrazzo, how she's determined to win back what she lost. And Su Yung, well, you know her story, the undead bride. But however, the match ended with Deonna Purrazzo winning back the Impact Knockouts Championship. So she's now the new champion. So that means this title exchange. Now, as you all know, it's already been talked about that the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship is starting soon. So it turns out this Tuesday will begin with the first matches, but it will end at the next pay-per-view, Hard to Kill, which I'm excited to see. And Hard to Kill will be the match where we'll see the new Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions. But who could it be? Well, my money is on two teams. I got Havoc and Nevaeh, or Taya, Valkyrie, or Rosemary. So that's my two picks of the teams. So that's how I see it. But however, I do see that Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan will try to make to the finals. I can see that very well. We'll see how that goes. Now let's get to the main event, which is the Impact World Championship between Sami Callihan and Rich Swann. It was a good match. It did tell the story how it was determined. As you know, Sami Callihan and Rich Swann were old friends back in Ohio. He even tried to have him join OVE, but Rich Swann wasn't having it. So basically, it kind of went that way. But the match went clean. There was no interference coming up. It was great. I like it. And of course, if you must know, Rich Swann retained the title. But I'm not sure if people can say, why could Sami win it? Well, I could see another possibility, not dropping the title. What if they want to go with the match between him and Moose? And that's something we could talk about in the future when that happens. But Rich Swann retained the title, so we'll see how that goes. So that is it. What happened on Turning Point. So we'll get back to more on Impact on the next two episodes. And right now, let's jump into the shocking news of the release of Zelina Vega. Now, the last thing before I go, let's talk about the situation that took place with Zelina Vega. Now, this came about this past Friday on November 13th of 2020, which ironically is Friday the 13th. Man, that's kind of superstitious, you know? Why did it have to happen at the most unluckiest day? So, anyway, the shocking news came in is when Zelina Vega was announced by WWE that she was released from her contract. Now, the speculation was over a tweet. She posted this tweet that says, "I support unionization." Now, that was the speculation to believe that she was fired because of that. But there was the other speculation that took place was because of her real life husband, Aleister Black. As you know, Aleister Black, we haven't seen him for quite a while. I feel they're not utilizing enough. But however, Aleister Black requested that he wants to be moved back to NXT, and they said no. But however, that case did not is not exactly what really happened. But to understand what really happened, we need to get to the beginning. Now, as you know, a couple months ago, WWE sent out emails to all their talent on both Raw and SmackDown, telling them they have to shut down the third party platforms. I'm talking about Twitch and Cameo. So basically, that was the big problem that led to this. Many fans did not like this whatsoever. Now, here's the reason why WWE were doing that. There was many factors that played that could have led to this. As you know, AJ Styles, on the other hand, was told people that he was contracted with the virus during the time of his matches, and that kind of may have been one of the factors. But there's other factors that were have to be played out. One of them was the fact that they're making money on the side. Now, keep in mind, we're in a pandemic. Things haven't been the same. They're not doing house shows anymore. They're not getting paid enough when they're doing pay-per-view events like these. And the merch sales, they're not getting through at all, because that's one of the things. How are you going to make money on the side? Well, Twitch. That's the only way to do it. But however, WWE did not like it, so they sent out emails to all their talent from both Raw and SmackDown. They need to shut it down. So that's one of the things that happened. However, Paige made the decision that she's not going to tolerate it. Reason is this: Paige is not wrestling at this point. We all know what happened to her. She obtained a neck injury during a house show, and it cost her her career. Why does she need to shut down her Twitch account? And the person who joined her on this little fight was Zelina Vega herself. Now, because of this, she refuses to hand over the passwords to WWE on her Twitch account, which is called A to Z. And according to her, she passed on those passwords to her brother. And according to what the WWE are now saying, is that she violated a breach of contract. And that was the fact that she started an OnlyFans account, which kind of drew made the final straw made for WWE to fire her. Now, if you guys are not familiar with that, it's okay. If you guys do, you know what it is. Because of that, it led to her dismissal. Now, I know many fans are upset that they fired her. I mean, we just saw that she was getting started a good career as a competitor ever since she's mostly been managing Andrade and Angel Garza. But this is really ridiculous how they fired her because of that. And she went back on Twitch, and you can see how she was emotional. You know, she was heartbroken that this happened. You know, she's not angry, but you know, this is all she ever wanted to do, to be a wrestler, but also make her father proud. If you guys don't know this, or you do, her father was amongst the victims on 9/11. He was in the Twin Towers when it happened. And they used to watch wrestling when she was young. And now we don't know what to do. But however, she can fall back knowing she can make a lot more money on Twitch, because that's what they were doing. They were making more money on Twitch than they get with WWE. That's one factor that could play it out. But the real question is now, is this the last of her in wrestling? Well, I can say no, because there are many other platforms that can go to that. Either AEW or back to Impact, where it was known as TNA. If you guys don't know this, she was in TNA known as Rosita. So basically, she was also one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions with Zarita. That we can see back. But however, apparently she has the 90-day no compete clause. So basically, she won't be allowed to appear on television with other promotions for the next 90 days. So it's already less than that. So it could happen maybe close to AEW's Revolution. Now, can we see her in AEW? Maybe, but that all depends on if the AEW are interested in her. Because we can say WWE wasted a good talent. That is something we can agree upon, you know? And that's one thing that bothers. Now, Zelina Vega's dismissal with WWE has now drawn out a lot of controversy. Now, you may have heard this or not with WWE. They actually said they want to set up their own social medias for their talent to interact. It's not the same because the problem is they already caused a lot of problems with many of their fans. You think the fans are just going to accept, oh, you're building a social media so we can interact? We were fine what we were doing. And that's what happened. And now they want to do that. But that's not the one thing that is happening. It turns out there are people that are coming out against WWE, what they're doing. And one of them, his name is Andrew Wang. He actually is a Democratic candidate for this year when he was trying to run for presidency. But however, he has been informed many times over about WWE's practices. They're not treating their talent as employees, they're treating them as independent contractors. So there's certain things that he explained that he did not like. And that's one of the things that's already out there. So when he heard about Zelina Vega being released from WWE because of what happened, Andrew Wang said this: "I haven't forgotten about you, Vince McMahon." So basically, he's coming for him. And here's the thing: I know I don't want to bring this whole politician thing act here, but there's a point to this. Andrew Wang said if President-elect, when he's sworn in, puts him as the Secretary of Labor, he said that he would like to do something about WWE's practice, the way they treat the wrestlers. I mean, I'm up for it, because a lot of wrestlers get mistreated, they're not being utilized, whatever the situation is. And then he wasn't the only one. There's this group called the CAGAT, no, the AFTRA. The president, named Gabrielle Carteris, is also coming for Vince. So basically, this has sparked, another, hunt. You know what I mean? And that kind of thing. Now, WWE, they better watch themselves because what they did was really dumb and they should know better. They caused this problem without repercussions. And if they want to continue it, well, that's their fault. No, just because you had people like Zelina Vega standing up against you doesn't mean you have to teach everyone a lesson. But they did that anyway. They brought that upon themselves. But however, if they continue with more, well, they brought that upon themselves. So, for any of you Zelina Vega fans out there, show your support for Zelina Vega no matter what. She's going to need it. And she needs all of you guys' help. That's what she needs right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So right now, I'm going to bid all of you guys adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.